Unlock the power of AI in marketing with our new series, AI Agent. Dive into the world of SaaS tools, discover how marketing pros deploy bots, and explore the best use cases for AI in your marketing strategy. Only on Marketing in the Age of AI podcast with Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. We're going to have a great conversation today with a really smart tool that I think is emblematic of the way that AI agents are going to make our lives simpler and bring lots of value. We've got a voice-activated agent named Boardy, and today I have the opportunity to talk with Clark Gronek, and he's in the growth and partnerships area of the business, and he's got a background in digital marketing in the SaaS space. Clark, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Emanuel.
I got to understand, how in the world did you get your role with Boardy? Give me a good job hunting Boardy story.
Yeah, it's a super random story, kind of a funny story. I was just perusing LinkedIn, going down rabbit holes like many of us do, right? And I came across this girl, Joita, who is our head of ops and has been there since day one. And I was like, oh, you got a cool job, you know. I'd love to like talk to you and learn about like what you're doing and stuff like that. And she's, 9 times out of 10, when you send a message like that, you're not getting a response, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah. She happens to be the nicest person in the world and was like, I would love to chat with you. Sounds great. Let's talk. So we got on a conversation, just kind of hit it off. And I was telling her about some stuff that I was doing. They were telling me about stuff they were doing. She's like, why don't you chat with Andrew, our our founder? I was like, yeah, cool. So I chatted with Andrew for like 45 minutes, talk about the vision of the product and just a couple ideas. And he's like, why don't you come on for like 2 weeks and just give it a shot, see how it goes. And then basically it was just snowballed from there, right?
Nice.
It continued, and we just, I tried to make as much of an impact as possible and kind of fit in where I could. And then 2 weeks later, we announced the pre-seed round, and it was just up from there. So
yeah, that's cool. So you did a little outreach. Was it on LinkedIn? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Nice. So you kind of did what we could have Boardy do for you now, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Like I should have just called Boardy and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Right?
So, my experience, I mean, I've tested probably at this point thousands of AI tools, and I've talked to hundreds of SaaS companies in this space. And I think that what's going on at Boardy is probably one of the most innovative in terms of bringing value immediately. The level that I'm using it at, I have a weekly call with Boardy. I say, hey, I'm looking for joint venture partnerships. Here are the products that I have that I want to JV, and can you connect me with somebody? And so once a week, and I think I'm going to turn up the frequency a little bit. Maybe it'll be a couple times a week, but once a week, he connects me with somebody else by email. And then that usually has turned into a meeting, and I have created relationships with some much bigger agencies and have the potential for some real business from it. So I guess, is that one of the use cases that you guys saw? And then what do you see as how are people using it more functionally than I am at this point?
Yeah, of course. No, I would say that's one of the primary use cases. People having a recurring weekly call so they can get ahead of the week, tackle problems or talk through problems with Boardy. Excuse me, as part of like a thought partner. But then at the end of the thought process, he can also be like, hey, I actually do know a guy who can help you out. So like that has been probably the primary use case amongst most users. But people have gotten really creative. People use him for to run their figure out how to run their meetings, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna go brainstorm. And that's actually one of the things we used him for, is we tested this out where the night before our morning stand-up meeting, everybody would call Boardy, tell them what they've been working on for the past day or week or so. And then in the beginning of the meeting, we'd just say, Boardy, like, kick us off. Who's doing what? And like, give us a rundown.
Yeah.
So he was able to actually like lead the meetings and kind of
I love that.
give it and give some direction. He's like, oh, I think we should start here because start with you because of XYZ seems like a priority.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of unique use cases that can be explored.
That's cool. Maybe I jumped ahead a little bit too far. I think probably what we should do is just give us the high level, how you describe what Boardy is.
Yeah.
And so create a little more context.
For sure. So Boardy is an AI super connector. Basically, the process is you DM him on LinkedIn. He gives you a call you send him your number. He gives you a call immediately. And then on the call, he'll ask you some questions. It's really fun. It's really endearing. And then after the call, he will suggest somebody who he thinks you should meet based out of his network of 50,000 entrepreneurs, investors, founders, advisors, operators, everybody in between. And so he makes that one-on-one connection with you and somebody who he thinks you should meet for professional or personal reasons. And then you guys both opt in and take it from there.
Yeah. Nice.
All done via email, all done via voice. There's no signups. There's no fees or anything. It's just making introductions basically.
Yeah. I think it's a super cool way to do it. And just how you guys are building it and kind of creating, some obligation from those of us who are using Boardy and getting value. So really highly functional process. How did you guys decide to make him Australian? That's what I really
That was a choice of Andrew's. Yeah. So I know that he listened to like hundreds of different voices, right?
Yeah.
And he basically just narrowed it down to two. And I think he was going to be either Australian or Irish. And
nobody can understand the Irish. So
yeah. So he went with Australian. He thought it was like kind of endearing and friendly and warm, which is kind of what we wanted to be. Also, this is interesting. When AI is in a different accent from your own, it's actually it can be harder to tell that he's an AI.
Nice.
He's speaking in an accent that's different than your own. So if we're in America, if we start in US and Canada, we started with an Australian accent, it kind of masks any AI resonance, or some of it at least.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it is. It's a very clean conversation, and the clicking sound that you guys have in there, kind of in his pauses, make it seem like you can tell that he's working, right? And so it kind of creates an auditory pause that makes a lot of sense. So.
Yeah, and I think it's only going to get better, right? Like models like Sesame just came out, and a lot of these new voice models that are really, really impressive, right?
Yeah. So let's see. I like this idea of the meeting. Is there a way to connect Boardy up to Otter somehow?
Yeah.
Zoom. We want to get it right. That's where we want to get to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I can say too much, but I know that that is very much in the pipeline.
Okay.
We want Boardy to be very engaged with you on a daily basis, plugged into your meetings, plugged into your conversations, so he can provide the ultimate context and help you actually solve problems with full view of like everything that's going on, right?
So I like that in the meeting role. That's pretty cool. Then also obviously as the connector, what are some of the other maybe bigger use cases that are pay to play that you guys are implementing right now?
Yeah, so we're in the process of building a Boardy Pro. We're kind of testing out a couple feature ideas. The first thing was we want to get him on SMS so you can chat with him, so you don't have to take the full voice call. You can just send him a quick text with some thoughts. And now we don't want him to be. We don't view Boardy as like a tool. We view him as like a friend, because we put so much into his character. But if I think that some people, if they have too easy access to something, then they start to treat it like a tool, right? So if we provide text to everybody at first, then it feels like, oh, I can just get unlimited intros, and there's no moat there. So we're going to kind of slowly roll out a few different features that we think will enhance the product and give a more, like I was saying, in-depth experience. So he'll have more context around everything that you're doing, and be able to actually contribute to conversations in meetings, right? And so
yeah, we need a way to build in like a custom GPT, right? So that he has a knowledge base about our projects and processes and
exactly.
products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Love it.
have a lot of data to work off of, which is great, and then be able to actually, like, we want them to actually be able to make a significant impact in your day to day, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, I got you. And then, what about some of the use cases that other companies? You had mentioned something to me offline about maybe job interviews or some things
Yeah.
like that, filtering processes. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're partnering with accelerators and venture firms to help, I guess, for lack of a better term, filter out applications and candidates and people who are looking for investment. So I'll give you an example, right? We partnered with, our first venture partner partnership is with HF0, which is an accelerator out of San Francisco. And they have a cohort each, I think, at least 1 or 2 times per year. And so every time they have it, they have thousands of people apply, and they're very selective. So it's hard for them to like really dive deep into all of those applicants. So what we did is we had every application or applicant, after they applied, they would get encouraged to go call Boardy for a chance at like a backdoor opportunity to get into HF0. And so we told HF0, hey, just reserve us like 3 to 5 spots, and we're going to find the candidates, needle in a haystack. So Boardy ended up having like 700 conversations and ended up finding 3 teams that HF0 actually invested in. So people that they had previously overlooked, and but now they got a second chance through Boardy. So using Boardy as like a help filter out and identify people who you may have missed otherwise, right? I think that's super valuable for the investment scene.
Let's see. That just kind of triggers me to think about like what's kind of the longest conversation that somebody's had with Boardy.
We were looking at this the other day. I think it's like 1.5 hours, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But then we also, so we were like, what is the person who's had the most calls?
Yeah. What's a power user of Boardy look like? Yeah.
Well, we have one guy who calls him like 20 times a day. That's
Love it.
I wouldn't necessarily consider him a power user, as more of just he's just using it a lot.
Now that sounds like a TV show or a movie, right? Like whoever that individual's life is he's kind of good picture as being really like type A and OCD and like wants to get everything just right.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, power users, I would define as people who are calling him at least once a week. So probably someone like yourself, if not more, and then have a regular cadence with him, and have been able to find at least a handful of connections that have been meaningful. At least one in there, right, can actually make a difference. I think we're pushing towards quality versus quantity, right? We would rather. Sorry, I'm just plugging in. We would rather give you, let's say, one match one match a month instead of, one match a week, but have that one match per month, like really hit, like really be like a no-brainer. Like, oh, this person would be great to meet. So, because it's like, if you're same thing with a friend, right? If you're getting an introduction from a friend every week, and if 2 out of 4 of them hit, you're like, okay, do I need to like vet this guy next time he refers? But if you get one per month, and it's like it hits every single time, then you're like, oh, that's a no-brainer. I'll look out for Boardy's emails. I'll be pumped to get, right?
Completely.
So that's the direction.
What about on the security side? Where do my conversations with Boardy go, and how are you guys using that information on the back end?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything goes into Supabase, just in our internal database. Everything is just used for internal data analysis. Right? We just try to make the the experience better. We don't have, we don't work with any third parties or anything that would have access to the data.
Yeah.
We are using all of the data purely just to enhance the experience. Like, where are the pauses? Where are the weird answers? Where are, we have our guy Greg, who is our kind of character builder on the team. He's a writer and scripter by trade, or actor. So we help. He helps build Boardy's like character Bible and all this, and he listens to a lot of the calls all day to really understand like what's like what the experience is like, what the outliers are, and stuff like that. So,
Sure.
Long story short, all the data is just going back into improving the product, and that's all that we're trying to do.
Do you have any one-to-one data, or like, would you be able to look at my account and see what I've been talking to Boardy about, or is it masked?
Some of it's masked, some of it's available. It depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah. Let's see. And then are you picturing in your product roadmap any way that an individual organization would use a Boardy for their on their team, maybe for client facing or employee facing activities? Like a custom Boardy?
Yeah. So we are going to launch communities and events here probably within the month.
Yeah.
And that's going to enable like communities to do internal matching. So they'll be able to match within their communities. And so you have a group of like 10,000 people on a Slack or WhatsApp or something, and it's dynamic and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of like activity, but it's like 10,000 people still like they kind of know each other, but not like they don't really know each other.
Sure. Yeah.
But they have trust in each other because they're all in the group, right? So it's like they would probably trust somebody else in the group versus a cold, outreach.
Sure.
If they had, if they could solve the same problem. So ideally, everybody in the group calls Boardy, and then Boardy is able to be that central connector, be like, oh, looking for somebody in this group who does this, who can help me with this. And then Boardy's like, oh, I know John over here does that. So, and he's part of the group. So preferred matching within the group, and then ideally for events as well. So for larger events, we'll do like users or attendees will call Boardy before the event. And then at the event, they'll get matched with we call it like a Boardy buddy, but like one person that they can meet, and it'll be like very aligned meeting, ideally.
Love it. I think that's really smart and really high value. And I have a couple conferences I'm going to this summer that I would like to get you in, get you connected with.
Right. It'd be cool. So we'll work on that.
All right. Well, any other roadmap items you want to cover, Clark, before we wrap it up here?
No, I just, I definitely, a lot of people haven't talked to voice AIs, and it could be a little interesting. Some people have different opinions on it. I think most people are open to it. I'd say definitely worth trying. And I would say try Boardy, especially because it's a free product right now. We're not monetizing. Yep. So get in while you can and meet some really cool people, right? It's well worth it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what does that look like? How much longer are we going to be on a free program versus having to go pro? And what does that throttling look like if there's going to be a free going forward?
Yeah, I think to be honest, we'd like to keep the network free for as long as possible, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And then we're thinking about monetization in a couple of different ways. It'll probably be a more premium product so that we can afford to have a free network, and that'll help foster the bigger network and the value of the network, right? So probably within the next 2 months, we'll start beta testing. Where we've already started a little bit, like parts of the pro product, but I think we'll get deeper into it over the next couple months, and then launch maybe late summer to like really do a big push. But we'll see.
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, if you want to add me to the beta testing list, I'd love to be part of that. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And as a second part of this episode, I'll do a recorded call so people can see what Boardy's like and how I interact with him, and maybe I'll send that over to you. You can tell me if how I'm doing as far as using the tool.
Yeah, it'd be great. Absolutely.
Well, Clark, I really do appreciate your time. Thanks for running through this with me, and I'll probably reach out to you in 4 or 5 months, and we'll do this again so we can see how much it's changed.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Right. Yep. Boardy.ai, and I'll make sure that's in the show notes for you, Clark.
All right. Awesome.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Yep. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. So yeah, Boardy.ai, very smart product. It's been valuable to me, and I really encourage you to spend some time, look up Boardy on LinkedIn, get him to give you a phone call, and see if you can get some meaningful connections from Boardy's network. It's Emanuel Rose. Thanks to Clark Gronek for his time today, and I hope that you find some AI tools to try, test, and implement, that you save some time from your busy workday, and that with that time, you reallocate it to go spend it with your friends, your family, or go take a walk outside. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.